lock lover, and today we're going to be attacking the Master Lock ProSeries 6321. Quick overview of the 6321. It is a laminated steel padlock with a removable core, plastic coating for the weatherproofing, high iron shackle guard with a boron alloy shackle. All in all, for the price of the $21 I paid for it at the local hardware store, it's really not a bad padlock. I believe you're going to pay a little bit more online because it is kind of heavy, so you're going to be paying for the shipping. Now, when I say it's a pretty good padlock, you know, we can't be comparing it to a $1,000 lock or anything like that, but for $20, it's, you know, it's not a bad lock. Okay, we're going to start with the top of the keyway tension. I will mention that with the 25 thousandths picks, I'm having to go off of the side of this warding right here, and it is quite troublesome. I have only attempted to pick this lock once. I did open it, but as quickly as it opened, you know, it may have just been luck. So let's give it a shot. Try to get into the back of the lock. Everything feels springy still, so I'm going to get just a little bit more tension. Okay, we got a false set off of pin 5. Can't tell if pin 1's giving us counter rotation or not. Seemed like it. Got a little more counter rotation. They have overset one of them. And this lock is now open, and something you will notice, it does not spring out. You have to open the shackle yourself. So I will open that and turn that back here, and I'll show you in a second that this lock is very similar to a Master Lock, or I'm sorry, an American lock, and with the heavy spring tension. Now that the shackle's not in there, you know, it acts like a dead core. But it's very similar to the Master Locks. It has a very heavy spring in there. I do have a key, so I will show you. Whoop. See here, I noticed this the last time. Let me get this out of the way. So it is now locked up, and the core is, I spun it in the wrong direction. So now I think you're kind of foobarred, you know. Can't quite remember how I did this the last time. I think I pushed up on all the pins and rotated it. I don't know if that got us there or not. Yeah, there we go. Now the lock's fixed. The driver pins got hung up. Well, they didn't get hung up. They get hung up when you try to spin it back around. So that might be something that, you know, might be worth paying attention to. Okay, well, we'll try to keep this lock in frame here for you guys before I zoom out. Everybody hates to be accused of being a cheater. Of course, when it comes to lock picking, if you're a cheater, you know, you really have some problems. I mean, you're not gaining anything, that's for sure. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing gutted here. Okay. Get my vise out of the way here. Pull out my handy dandy pitting tray made by Embraer. Hell of a fella there. Okay, we're going to need, I don't know if that's a Phillips or an Allen. If that's an Allen, we're going to be in trouble. I believe that is an Allen. You guys are going to have to give me just a second so I can find my Allens. I was not prepared for this. I'll edit, or not edit, but fast forward this part of the video for you. Okay, I actually used a flat bladed screwdriver, being that all I had was my metric Allens available. I wasn't spending a whole lot of time on this. Okay, so let's get this key out of there and with the core. I left the screw in the lock. It is a 6-pinner, although it only has 5 pins. I'll take that back. It is a 6-pin. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, okay, 5. The first part's a little bit of the shoulder that goes in there. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you guys. Okay. Pop this little clip off of here. One second. Get the shim. Was not prepared for this. Alright. That's way too effing big. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to have to go just a little bit off. Okay. First key pin is standard, 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 and standard. Alright. Grab my pinning tweezers. And let's see what we have upstairs. And the first chamber we have a spool. Just a regular spool, it's not serrated. Second chamber we have a spool. It's not serrated. Third chamber we have a spool. Once again, not serrated. Fourth chamber we have a spool. And the very last chamber we have a serrated. Okay, it's a little bit opposite from the 410, which I've never had a 410 apart, but I believe the serrated is normally, or no, that is right. The serrated is normally in 5, but there's a 610 in the 410. It'd be another spool and another key pin. So I would say this is probably the same cylinder that is in a 410. Let me give you guys a close-up. If it'll focus for you. Let me try to come out. Come on, focus. If anybody has any ideas on setting up the autofocus on a Nikon, let me know. Okay, you guys will just have to take my word for it. Like I said, if you're cheating, you're only cheating yourself. The spool, serrated, standard, and obviously standard springs. I haven't fooled with this lock unless somebody put different springs in it and took it back to the store. That's standard as far as I know. Okay, I'm not going to bore you guys with putting it back together. But all in all, it's a pretty nice lock. It gave me a little bit of fit with the thicker picks, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Of course, here I go saying I wasn't going to bore you with putting it back together, but it's going to go back together at some point. So maybe I will. Maybe I won't. So I was trying to fill 6 there. And we don't want to fill him up. Or if I trade this lock off, somebody will, well, not even if I trade it off, as soon as I put it back together, I'll be screwed. Thing will drop right down into that 6th hole on the core, and that'll be the end of it. See, I've already screwed up, but I can fix it. I don't know if anybody noticed it or not, but I started on this core backwards. That's alright. This serrated, I could put him in one and screw the next guy up, but we'll go ahead and we'll make sure we put him where he goes. Okay. actually much easier to flip around to get these back ones. I know a lot of guys like to go in there like Fister Miyagi, but I'm not one of those guys. Okay. You know, when you first start doing this is such a pain. But once you get the right tools, it makes all the difference in the world. Pretty tight pour there. These don't look like they wanted to go down, but they do. That's pretty good tolerance. Not bad. Definitely is not a quick set, I can tell you that. Clip back on. Make sure he's on there all the way. Try it with the key before we put it back into the lock body. Everything seems to be working fine. And a slight hang up that I believe is, well, now I got a real bad problem. You hear about the rattles? Right there's your rattles. The 410, when you turn it around, the key pins will fall out this hole, or the holes, and that's exactly what happened right here. So now, by looking in there, I'm going to say that the longer one went there, and the shorter one went there. And that is right. We'll have to make sure that we push those down, and then in order to turn this any further, I have to reach in this keyway, push all the driver pins down, which is going to be quite a conundrum with the key in there. So what we'll do is we will pull the key out, push these pins down out of the holes, then we'll rotate the core. I've got one that's catching us. There we go. Okay. So, learn from my mistakes. Don't make your own. One thing that's interesting to note is that this lock does not have a bypass wafer in it. So technically you could bypass this with the Peterson bypass tool. You do not see the bypass wafer at all. That's interesting. That's very interesting to know. I wish I had one. Matter of fact, let's make sure one didn't fall out. No. There is no bypass wafer. That is very interesting. Our screw finally fell out. That is very, very interesting. I know I keep saying that over and over, but I'd have just assumed that, you know, by now that they would already be having those fixes on everything. But this lock did, you know, have a lot of dust on the box when I bought it, so it could be a very old stock. I mean, where I live, you know, I'm in a real rural area. Not too many people, you know, not saying this is an expensive lock, but it's definitely not a $6 master lock number 3. So most people walk into the hardware store that's just looking for a regular lock, is not going to buy a lock like this. So there you have it. A lot of fumbling around, but hey, we all got to start somewhere. Everybody's new at one time. So there's the Master Lock 6321. All in all, pretty good lock. Make sure you pay attention when you disassemble the lock, that you don't rotate that core all the way around. I was very lucky there at the beginning when I picked it and went to shut the shackle and I had to spin everything back around. I was real lucky I didn't lose any pins then. So keep that in mind if you ever go picking one. As they say, stay legal.